and thanks for watching. Today I want to show you chain and finishing. We get a multitude of questions about how to finish footage chain, and it depends on the links. So today I wanted to show you some of the basic ways. So with our thin chain, like snakes and little box chain, that the links, you can't put a jump ring through it. I want to show you how to solder on a jump ring to the end of it, to the end of a little tiny link chain. The other one is just the basic closing of a jump ring. When you can thread it through a large link chain, I just want to show you how to protect that chain and also solder that jump ring closed. The other one I want to show you is an end tab. An end tab you solder on and then you flip it over, and that one works really well with like sequin chains and things that don't have links at all. And the last one is my favorite one. It's a little end cap. And I drop the the chain links down inside of it with a little bit of solder. And then I heat it up, and then that puts an end cap on. I think an end cap looks really nice. And so I wanted to show you those 4 ways how to finish chain. Hi, today I want to show you how to solder a tiny linked chain onto a jump ring. Sometimes the links are just too small, so you can't thread a jump ring through the links themselves. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to add a jump ring directly to the chain. So I'm going to take a piece of soft solder, and place it right there. Now what you want to do is you want to look for the seam. If you have an open jump ring, you can go ahead and close it right now, which I like to do. So I'll place it on top of the solder. Now I'm going to bring the chain up to it. So what I want to do is I want to seal this, then close the jump ring at the same time. Don't forget the flips. Now I've added a tiny bit of whiteout to the chain end where it's meeting the jump ring, and the reason I did that will prevent the solder from flowing down the chain, and you really don't want it to do that because it'll get hard and the chain links will solder together. So whiteout is very toxic, so make sure you have good ventilation. You wear a mask also. So go ahead and put your torch in your non-dominant hand. And I have this on a low setting, torch. And go ahead and get your soldering pick in your dominant hand. Now you want to heat up the whole piece. And once the entire chain is heated up, go ahead and just circle around the jump ring and where you want it to solder. You have a second to put them together, so don't worry. And it's soldered together. I'll let that cool down a minute, and once I put it into the water and into the pickle, this will loosen this whiteout up, so it's not a big deal. So go ahead and let that cool down, and then you can quench it. Closing a jump ring is really important, and it's a lot of people's first array into soldering. Because as you make necklaces and stuff, you'll want to secure them. And securing them is by closing the jump rings instead of leaving them open where they can pull and open up. So soldering a jump ring is really easy. So I have a third hand right here holding the jump ring up, and it has a chain below it. And this third hand is acting as a heat sink. And what it's doing is as I heat the jump ring up, it's actually drawing the heat away. And that's protecting the cable links below from getting soldered or by even melting. So what I want to do is I want to get the solder to flow. So I flux the piece, and it has a tiny, tiny piece of soft solder at the top of it, right where the opening is to the jump ring. And what I want to do is I want to draw that solder down through the jump ring, closing up that opening. So go ahead and put your torch in your non-dominant hand. And I'll keep the soldering pick in my dominant hand. That way, if anything shifts or moves as I'm soldering, I'll reach out with a soldering pick rather than with my finger. So you always want to keep a soldering pick in your hand in case of an emergency. So I have the torch tilted up and I want to draw that soft solder down through it. And so I'm only heating up the jump ring, and that's flux melting on the third hand, and that it won't hurt anything. And you want to keep your torch moving, and there it's flowed. And that's how you close a jump ring. So now you can go ahead and either let that air dry or you can quench it and put it in pickle. I wanted to show you how to attach a sequin chain to an end tab. Sequin chains have no holes or links on them, so they're hard to solder to a jump ring. So what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to use the alternate, which is an end tab. So let me show you how that's done. Go ahead and flex your end tab in your chain. And I'm going to take a piece of soft solder. And I'm going to place it right there on one end of the end tab. Now I'm going to bring the sequin chain over to it. So I'm going to drag it over and lay that last little sequin on top of that. Here we go. Go ahead and put your torch in your non-dominant hand and take your soldering pick. And you're going to heat this up. Heat up the chain and the end tab. Let that flux dry. Now I'm going to keep the torch right there on top of the end tab until I see the solder float. There we go. Go ahead and turn that off. Now you're going to want to go ahead and quench it before you can go on to the next step. Okay, so I've quenched the piece and it's cooler now, so now I can touch it. What you want to do is you're going to need to flip that end tab over so that you can now solder the top part onto that sequin that's already soldered on. What you want to do though is you're going to want to flip it over, but you want to keep the loop inside of that end tab. So use something that's not tapered, like a nail or a punch works really well. The bottom of the punch. Even your soldering pick, if it's straight, you can use that. So you want to go ahead and flip that over and keep the loop. Okay, so I went ahead and folded mine over, and you can see I kept the loop in it. I've pinched it as far down as I can, and there's still a slight gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a soldering pick for this next part. Now there's already enough solder in there to cover both of them when I reheat it, and solder's good for about 3 flows. So I'm only on the second one now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and heat it, use a soldering pick to hold it down a little bit until it flows again. Now I'll go ahead and flex the piece to help it to flow again. And I'm going to use a soldering pick to push it down when it gets hot enough. So go ahead and again put your torch in your non-dominant hand. Heat up your entire chain. Now go ahead and circle around your end tab. And watch for that flow point. And there we go. Go ahead and quench it. And let's see what we have. You're going to have to, of course, pickle it. But let's go ahead and look at it now. So it did remain the loop, which is good. That's what you want to do. And it did solder all the way through. Now this one link is kind of hard, but if you loosen it up with a pickle, it'll come loose, or just wiggling it in your hand. And it's starting to loosen up now. You just want to be really careful it didn't flow onto it. That way your chain's not stiff. And that's how you solder an end tab onto a sequence. All right, let me show you the setup I have here. Now I love end caps. I think they look really nice at the end of chain. And what I've done is I've dropped a chain down into a small end cap, and really round Rolos and stuff work the best. And I went ahead and I fluxed down in that tube, and I added a piece of soft solder. And now I'm going to heat that up, and that solder is going to flow inside that tube, and it's going to hold that chain. It's a really secure connection, and I'll show it to you at the end. So go ahead and put your torch in your non-dominant hand, and go ahead and put your soldering pick in your dominant hand. And I'm going to go ahead and heat up the chain. Now I'm going to go, and I'm just going to put the heat right on that tube bezel, on that tube, and I'm going to wait for it to get red hot. It's kind of hard to see it, so you might need to touch it a little bit to see if it flowed, and I think it did. So let me go ahead and pull it off and check it. All right, so I went ahead and I quenched this, and the flux got up on the links and made them stiff, but all I did was I broke it free. Sometimes it takes a pickle to do that, so you can quench it and pickle it, or just after you quench, just make sure everything's nice and loose. And this is secured. And I'll clean that all up. I'll pickle it, then I'll clean it all up. And that's how you do an end cap on a piece of chain. Before I sign off on this video, I just want to tell you, one, thanks for watching. And two is, if you ever don't know how to finish a chain and you're unsure of what kind of clasp to put on the end, go ahead and go to our website. And this is a little trick I used to do. Go to our website at halstead.com and go ahead and check out our finished jewelry chain section, and look for the chain link that you're working with, and you can go ahead and see how they've been finished, whether it's a jump ring or an end tab. You can go ahead and check on there and see what kind of clasp they finished with, and that should help you a lot. It helped me when I was starting and I wasn't sure. Like the sequence to put an end tab on it, I wasn't sure, so I'd go look on the site and see what they used. So anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.